Yes.
Okay.
So, Tom,
Here we are.
here we are after almost 3 weeks of performances and teaching in this latest trip. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling like I'm ready to go home. I feel it's been a very full, moving, memorable time. It was amazing in Kiev. I think one of the things that felt so good this time was our host family, Mariana, Akadi, and their two children, um, took us out to their home in the country where we actually ended up doing two shows. And we went to their parents' house. He caught some fish and cooked it for us. She gave us some jars of things she had picked, mushrooms, and canned them. And it just felt like we were part of their family.
Yes.
It just felt,
I felt like also we saw the real Ukraine through the eyes of a real family, right?
yeah, like we saw how um, the war became very personal because we saw how it disrupted their lives, both as parents and as teachers, having to go up and down to the bomb shelters. She said sometimes two, three times a day, every day. Um, life, we really got a sense of also how they just keep going. And they're actually pregnant. They're going to have their third child in August. So their life is going on,
Yeah,
even in the midst
of war.
of war.
A lot of resilience, I think, and we had some great shows there, as you said, in the bomb shelters of a school. We ended up like having 40 minutes with some teenagers. Uh,
Oh,
that was
amazing.
that was interesting to performing for them, and then just having a long talk about how they're feeling, and they asked us about your questions. So it was good to hear them opening up and then sharing their thoughts about the war. It was moving as well.
Yeah,
And then we took a train back to Lviv.
yeah. But before we leave Kiev, I mean, we did also um, have a real sense of the kind of disruption and chaos and fear that the Ukrainians have been living with, awakened numerous nights with sirens going off, bombs exploding near it felt near the hotel.
It felt like they were right there.
The hotel, you could feel them, and it was scary. And that's what these folks have been living with for 4 years. And we get to go home tomorrow. So
I think that's very important, that sentence.
yeah,
We get to go home.
yeah. They 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 don't. Um, and as Carlos was starting to say, we then took a quite wonderful um, train, the best train we took on the trip, and we took 4 or 5 trains um, from Kiev to Lviv, and then Lviv was a whole other wonderful experience.
Yeah. Oh,
Do you want to talk about what we did at 3D?
yes, in Lviv, we started with some presentations. They were great in some places that we usually go. But then our big thing there was we created a workshop, a 3-day workshop with some kids from an organization that's a partner that we have performed there many times before called 3D. And they do development programs for orphan children in their space, and it was great. 3 days filled with a lot of learning, a lot of eager kids wanting to learn.
And one girl who was older one, really, but she was just painfully shy, and she refused to come up we teach by folks coming up and performing for the group the trick they are learning. And she literally hid under the desk.
Mm.
And what was amazing is what happened during the performance at the end. And then, why don't you tell
Yeah.
about that? It was really quite.
Yeah, when we were kind of doing a rehearsal, because the one of the goals of the workshop was that they were going to build a show that then they were going to do a presentation for their donors without us there. That was 2 days after we had to leave Lviv. So when we were going through who's going to go first, second, third, a she said, "You know what? I want to perform." And we were like,
Well,
"Okay, what do you want to
this
perform?"
was the one under the desk.
Yeah. So and she's like, "Okay." We were like, "What do you want to perform?" She selected a trick and she said, "Okay." Then we were doing the order, and she ended up being the first one. So she was opening the show when the days before she didn't even want to perform for their her peers right there.
Just seven other people.
Seven other people, and then she ended up performing. And the first like rehearsal we did was with her peers, also like 30 of them, and some volunteers, and she did great. But then she had to perform in this theater with a bunch of people, and she did. It was
And
amazing.
we were in Bucharest um, in Uber, and Carlos's phone rings, and Katarina, the director of 3D, is there live streaming the show, and she was so nervous for the kids. It was wonderful to see, and they did so well, and the donors just applauded and applauded, and I think it was a very powerful experience
Yeah, it
for
was
them,
very
and
cool.
I'm sure it impressed the donors.
And Katerina said that she thinks of herself as somebody that understands the kids a lot. She has studied about the subject, she has been with the kids for years, and she thought the kids were not going to be able to do what they did. So I,
This is a woman who thinks, I think, extremely positively about the kids, but what we were asking them to do and what we were teaching them, she just didn't think, she thought it was beyond them. And it
yeah,
turned out,
yeah, she said that that experience taught her that her kids were capable of things even she thought they were not capable of.
which was really kind of an amazing thing.
An amazing thing.
And so it was and she thinks we might be able, the summer is kind of mixed up with camps and this and that, and not as regular as during the school year. But in September, we may really have the beginnings of a new educational chapter there. And we're still working on that, but the seeds have
Has been
definitely
implemented.
been planted. And
Exactly.
they're even sprouted there at the donor performance.
Yes. So we're looking forward to that. And then we left Lviv and we came to Romania, to Bucharest. And it was to meet the Magicians Sans Frontières group, the Magicians Without Borders France group, who is doing their second trip. And they chose Romania to come. And it kind of coincided with the ending of our Ukrainian trip. So we came to Romania to meet our French colleagues, and we did. We ended up doing four shows with them, if I'm not mistaken, in 3 days, in 2 days, really.
Yeah.
And it was great. We did shows at psychiatric hospitals, at an autism foundation, at a foundation that supports kids with difficult backgrounds, and the show for the autistic kids, I think, was a highlight You want to share more about it?
Yeah, um, we did two shows that afternoon. One um, for some Ukrainian refugees who are from Kherson, which was
Mm.
totally devastated at the very beginning of the Russian invasion. And a woman there, Lydia, I got there a little bit early and we talked and talked, and she had built a home and they were just about to move into it. They had been building it for 7 years because they had little money. They built little money, built some more. And just as they were moving in, about to move in, the Russians invaded. They had to leave. She's been in Romania now for 4 years, and she's working for the Jesuit Refugee Service. Her two boys go to the school, a really good school the Jesuit Refugee Service has set up. But she's so sad and longing
Mm.
to go home. And you just felt another version of that disruption that we talked about back there in Kiev. And so we did a show for them, and it really brought joy. And she just said the kids really needed it, and they were thrilled. And then we went to uh, a center for autistic children,
Mm.
and we did a show for them. Um, and there was a wonderful translator there. Um, and we asked about, you know, could we touch, which kids could we bring up and, you know, use as volunteers. And so they had three kids, and they said, these kids don't mind being touched or holding each other's hands or whatever. And so um, the show went on, and it was just really going great.
Yeah,
It was,
the show went amazing. It was great. The kids were super into it, very responsive. But at the end, Tom ends with a great routine.
Carlos starts the show with this high energy music called Magic in the Air, and it's really wild and wonderful, high energy music. And then at the end, I do this thing with tearing up paper and I'm trying to put it back together and I'm failing, and the kids are kind of smiling and laughing at the poor bumbling magician who can't get the paper to get back together again. And finally, I eat it, and then I pull out the paper, and now it's back together. And then it turns into this 25-foot rainbow streamer. It's a very exciting kind of act. The music that Carlos begins the show with came back on. All the magicians came on. And then the kids started coming up and holding our hands. And then we made a
Jumping,
circle
yeah.
of kids jumping around, holding each other. And the staff was amazed that these autistic kids who are, very standoffish and got so into it. And something, something about the magic, something about the energy, something about whatever the group of French magicians and Carlos and I did that day
Got them going. Yeah.
was really awesome. And we did one more show today, but in some ways that was the highlight of our time.
Complete highlight of our time.
Yeah.
And well, that's it. That was our trip. I want to thank everyone that made this a possibility to bring light amongst the darkness that's going on in Ukraine, and allowing us to be part of that playful resistance while everything that's going on there is, and also helping us uh, start an education chapter in Ukraine, which I feel is very important for to give these kids an opportunity to do something different while they're navigating what is already difficult, which is being in different foster homes or being, living life as an orphan, and then being here in Romania, starting this new adventure that the Magicians Without Borders France are doing, performing in these places that are underserved. And yeah, thank you for making it a reality.
Yeah. Something that I wrote in my journal one day was that one of the things that these kids who are living as we said, this very disruptive, chaotic life of fear and war, um, that they can still laugh and delight and have wonder in the midst of war, and that we can do that for them, and they can have that gift that you've made possible as donors and supporters. Is such a gift that we get to do this.
Exactly.
So
So thank you.
thank you. It's been an amazing 3 weeks.
See you on the next trip.
Yeah, and we're both really tired.
Yeah, we are exhausted, about to go to sleep.
Okay.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.